This is the foundation inspection. Now here the grade is actually in contact with the brick course. In fact, it's covering a complete brick course. What will happen there is that the dirt, as it gets wet, is going to cause water to migrate through the wall into the cavity, and that in turn can cause rot in the framework. That's all the way up this left-hand elevation. Yeah, there's more grade, dirt against the grade here, and also there's a high flow rate of water through this yard. There's some wooden blocks there. That's okay, we got a good clearance there. Well, you want to see between the grade and the brick line, you want to see about 4 inches. Sometimes 2 will be okay, but most times you want to see 4 inches. We're at the front elevation now, and you can see here we've got lots of the foundation is exposed nicely. That's good. Now we're at the front elevation. Again, we've got bricks in contact with the ground. Big no-no, we don't want that. Again, grade in contact all the way around here with the brickwork. It really has to be raked back. We're now moving to the right elevation of the property. And we have an animal den at the right hand elevation. So it's been excavated. It's very common, I've seen this a lot, animals around this area dig down under the foundation. That needs to be cleared out. I can't tell you what animal it is. I'm not an expert on animals. Yep, we're okay there. Yeah, okay here. Again, we're looking for the foundation. This is a small retaining wall. We'll come back and look at that in the grade inspection. We've got to have a look inside here. There's a broken latch there. I'm inspecting the left-hand elevation of your property, and I'm in your neighbour's yard, and I'm moving along the path. You can see the path here. You'll see the general area of the grade is sloping towards the front here, but when we get right to the front, we meet the beginning of what should be a swale, and there's rocks in here. Now the problem I've got with it is these rocks rise up, and so there's going to be moisture trapped in this area here between the two buildings, and that can lead to foundation movement because of the hydrostatic pressure on this side of the building can be higher than the other. It causes this to lift while the other sinks. Now the solution would be to remove the rocks here, dig a deeper swale, and have a clearly obvious path for the water to drain out, which was what is intended by the architectural designers when they designed this area. They'd have called for this to be a proper swale, but when they came to do it, they didn't dig quite deep enough, and so what I'm saying is this area here could actually be a dam, causing this area to get unduly wet. I'm sure your neighbours wouldn't want their foundation to move either, so you might like to address this with the agents about what can be done about making sure this swale works properly, so we can drain water right the way along here out into the yard, the front yard. It's the front elevation. Here we've got good drainage, and we've got bushes and trees planted in and around the foundation, and they can be a bit of a problem. The reason they're a problem is that they expirate and remove massive amounts of water from the ground, and so they will cause this part of the area to become very, very dry. In addition, we have what is magnolia trees here. These grow to enormous heights. This is quite an inappropriate type of tree to have planted this close to the foundation. It really is bad. My recommendation is those are taken out. Coming along the front elevation, we still have bushes and another magnolia tree. Again, that should be removed. And then we have rows of bushes down here. Again, they're going to expirate lots of water. Everybody loves them. What you probably need to do is to cut these back and keep them low, and that will reduce the amount of water they expirate. And then we come to the rear elevation. Again, we've got some magnolia trees. This one's not looking very healthy. It's probably lacking water. As I say, they expirate enormous amounts of water. I recommend they're removed. Seriously. They grow to enormous heights, and they will affect your foundation. These ones along here will in time affect this retaining wall. This is a retaining wall. It's just over 4 foot tall. It's been engineered, and there's a whole host of stuff I could tell you about, but all I'm going to tell you is that it's going to be very important to the maintenance of the house foundation. This is what holds the house on grade at the ultimate point in this area here. These trees along here are not going to help it. Likewise with these trees here. Okay, so we're going to look at the drainage inside the yard. Here it's paved, got good drainage here, drainage around here, it's coming down here, it's sloping in that area. So overall the drainage is okay, apart from the left elevation of the property where a swale is dammed. I'm not so certain that the swale will work, in which case you'll get a build up of moisture in that area. This is the roof inspection. The roof is too high and too steep for me to walk on it, so I'm going to have to carry out my inspection from the ground. What we're looking for with roofs is general installation. Is it correct? One of the most important things about installation is if they installed, for instance, the sidings correctly. There's clear recommendations from the manufacturers of siding how it should be installed. Now this siding up here is actually installed incorrectly. It should have about an inch to 2 inch gap between the actual siding, the wall, and the shingles, and that's to prevent water being drawn up into the siding material and rotting over time. So that could deteriorate over time. Now it may be made out of cement board, in which case it's pretty robust and it won't deteriorate as fast as wood, but there will be some deterioration because the shingles themselves are in contact with the siding. And you can see right up the top there it's touching as well. So that's just something for the future to be aware of. Proper maintenance, keeping it well painted and sealed, it will help. But certainly you should pay attention. So we're going to put the roof a bit further up. Ventilation of this roof is via ridge vents. You can see them running along the top here. It's a very good form of ventilation. It's passive ventilation. In addition to that we have soffit vents, and in this house we have gable end vents. That's the vents up here, the gable end vents. Let's go and have a look at the left elevation. We're now moving to the left elevation of the property. Again we have ridge vents running along the top of the roof here. A gable end vent there. And soffit vents, they're continuous soffit vents. Let's go and look at the rear elevation. What we're looking at here is the soffit vents in this area here. And what I can see is that there is a hole in the soffit where it's not been filled with mortar, and that's a gap big enough for rodents to get in and out of, so that must be sealed. Again we've got siding in contact with shingles, and we've got a chimney. The chimney's got correct flashing, we'll kick out, that's good. Zoom in on those flues. These two flues look to me like they're furnace flues, so there's gas, combustion gases coming out of them. My issue with them is that they're too short for the slope of the roof. They should be another 2 to 3, I think another 2 foot higher, but I need to roll it up, which I will do. The other thing too is you'll notice that they're below the ridge of the roof, the upper ridge, and on the upper ridge we have vents. My concern is, under certain weather conditions, the flue gases can be sucked back into the attic through those vents. My recommendation is that these flue vents, or flues, are extended up, so we've got good clearance between them and the roof, and they clear the ridge, so ensuring that any prevailing wind will carry the flue gases away harmlessly from the house. We're at the roof and transition between the garage and the house. Actually this is the double garage and this is a single garage. You can see here we've got flashing and counter flashing. All's well. Apart from the trim is in contact with the shingles. Seems to be common on this house. This is the exterior wall inspection. What we're looking for are cracks in the wall caused by foundation movement and the general construction of the wall. Here we have a column. This column's going to have wooden. They don't have any wheat poles, so they should have wheat poles in the bottom here. Wheat poles missing from the porch area. There may be some down on the front here. Let's have a look. Yes, here's the wheat poles. Wheat poles, wheat poles, so that's fine, it's got wheat poles. There's an airspace beneath that porch. Continuing the inspection of the walls. When foundations move in this part of the world, they tend to flex. They're a close tension cable foundation, and it flexes nicely. It's malleable. However, the bricks don't, because they are manufactured out of brittle material, and it cracks and breaks. Now here we are in the porch, and we've got lintels here, and these lintels should have wheat poles over the top of them, and they don't. Wheat poles should be installed over all steel lintels. The reason being that the lintel itself, being steel, allows water to condense out onto it at different times of the day. Up here, right at the top, there's a lintel, and there's a gap opened up in the water. It's going to allow water in. That needs to be sealed, otherwise you're going to get water behind the wall. Now we're at the rear elevation, again lintels, still lintels without wheat poles. But more of concern here, we have an arbour, and you can see here that the ledger boards have basically been nailed to the actual brickwork. Now there's a problem with that. First problem is, this is a veneer wall, and it's not intended to have anything structurally attached to it that might put a load on it. And clearly this structure could put a load on it. This is not quite so bad as the other one, because we've got a pillar here and a pillar and a pillar supporting it. So the loading is going to be reasonable, but it's still wrong. Okay, so we've got the ledger board here, and we've got the structure onto it, and that's going to put a force on the veneer wall, which is not designed for. Round here we have another arbour, correctly supported here, as it should be, but again it's resting on a ledger board here, and as I said, this is a veneer wall, and it's not designed to have this type of ledger board attached to it carrying any sort of load. In addition to that, which I didn't mention around the other side, I cannot tell what the flashing is, so there is a possibility water can get down behind the ledger board and enter the cavity space. We're at the rear of the single car garage, and up at the apex there's a hole. This is the two-car garage, and we have another lintel without wheat poles over it. This is an electrical supply box. We have a 90 amp supply going to the sub panel. .200 amp coming in on the main panel, and the main panel ground and neutral is bonded, which is correct, and the sub panel neutral is floating from the ground, which is correct. The air compressors, or the air conditioning compressors, the burners going. And the burners on the other furnace again. The attic hatch in the garage doesn't seal properly. You can see there's a gap there. Now the problem with that is that fumes from the vehicles can get into the attic and then transfer into the house, and that could be quite a problem. So that should seal completely. That's the whole idea of it. It should close completely and seal completely. Water pressure is 55 pounds per square inch. Water meter and an isolation valve located just to the left of the front porch at the curb. Clear outs are located at the front porch. There's also a drain line that's been installed. Normally they're installed for swimming pools. There is a spa here, but there is no drain line to it. So that's the drain that goes to the sewer. There's no sewer line as far as I can see, or line coming from the actual spa. This is the water heater installation. You can see here we've got a post, steel post, attached to the garage floor. This is to protect the water heaters from the vehicles backing into it. It's very good. First time I've actually seen that in Texas. It should actually be at every water heater in every garage, but it's not, so it's good it's here. Down here we have two water pans. They allow the water, if it leaks, to drain out, and it drains into the garage. Code actually, not that you can apply code because it doesn't apply to a house when you buy it second hand, requires these things to drain outside. But the problem is, you see, that this wall here is the grade wall, is the foundation, and it's impractical to actually drain it outside. The only problem will be is if you store things like here and it does actually leak water, it's going to damage things. So you might like to think about not storing things directly on the garage floor, because there's nothing you could do about this. You can't really get the water out any other way. Up here we have temperature pressure relief valves. I'm going to release them. You should do that once a year just to clean them. That's good. And then we are looking at the vent hoods. They're in good condition and they're secure in place. Likewise here. We have expansion tank. This is the supply to the left hand water tank, hot water heater. See that black area? That's mould. Well, it indicates there's a slow leak there. A little bit of rust at the boss. So I would say there's a very slow continuous leak in the wall behind the water heater, which is on the left hand side. So it's this water heater here, and the leak is in the wall there, and it's been long enough to cause a build-up of mould in the wall. Okay, so the handle on the lighter, the burner, it's the front right burner, is broken. Yeah, it's broken. No, it's not working. That burner works. Burner works. Burner works. Excellent. This one's good. And the griddle operates. Under here we have a gas line and an isolation valve and the extractor. Here's the extractor. And the extractor is not operating. There's no anti-siphon device on the dishwasher. This is the spa. We have a skimmer here. And a skimmer basket. It's all good. You can see we've got the air and the jets running. Go down to the unit itself. What we're looking for are leaks and general condition of the pool equipment. We have a pressure of 20 on the filter. This is the heater. And it's lit, it's burning. I can smell the product's combustion. This is getting hot and I've got hot gases coming out there, so this is working well at the present time. This is a gas isolation valve. And we have GFCI. And at the back here we have grounds for the pump. And it's been running now for a few moments, well about 5 minutes, and there's no apparent leaks on the day of the inspection. I am concerned that the drain in the spa is the incorrect type. It should be anti-entrapment. You must check this out. They're very dangerous if not. Hopefully this is the correct type of drain. 1, front yard left hand elevation. Zone 2, front yard curb. Zone 4, actually zone 3, is front yard right elevation. Zone 3 is the right side elevation curb. This is zone 5, rear yard flower beds and right hand lower flower beds running along the footpath. The right hand elevation upper yard, it's split in two. I'll find out what happens with that. Zone 7, rear yard and flower beds on the right elevation lower end.